I'll be talking on international trade and the impact of the African Continental Free Trade Area on SMEs. But first, I'll be starting with the regulatory frameworks for imports and exports in Nigeria. So basically, I'll be saying what you need to note as an importer or an exporter in Nigeria. For imports, the first thing you need to note is that you have to register a company, which is what everyone has been, saying today. That's actually the starting point. And you also need to have a tax identification number that'll be registered with FIRS. That's what, Kola just spoke about. These are things that the customs services are now, interested in. And also, before you import, you have to check to see that that the goods that you want to import are not prohibited. So, for example, things like, poultry is prohibited, bagged cement, soaps, detergents, noodles, spaghetti, and so on. And also, there are also documents that you need to note if you're going to, import, which is the bill of lading, the commercial invoice, duly completed, Form M, packing list, single goods declaration, product certificates. What is, for me, key about these documents is actually the bill of lading, because that's the starting point of everything. And it's the exporter that would actually get this for you, in that he would contract a shipping company, and then he will get this bill of lading that will contain the list of your goods, as well as the information, the type, the quality, and all of that. And then he would actually send it to you electronically through your bank when you're trying to facilitate payments. So like this is actually the starting point for your imports. And then the commercial invoice, of course, is the receipt of your contract with the exporter. And then the duly completed Form M is what CBN uses to monitor importations in Nigeria, just to know the amount of businesses that are into importations. And it's a document that you can get yourself online or you get from your bank. Then the packing list is something that the customs union would actually give to you, as well as the single goods declaration. And then for the product certificate, this is what SON issues, and there are companies in Nigeria that can actually help the exporter get you this, because you would notice that when goods come, you will see this Nigerian logo on them. These are things that customs is actually looking at itself. So the exporter would have to get this, and there are companies in Nigeria that can actually help you do this. And before I talk about exportation, for importation, there are actually logistic companies that can help you do this, but it is important that you have a contract with those logistic companies. Those companies can help you, run through the whole process, so you don't have to go through any stress, but you need a contract with them to ensure that you mitigate your losses, because if anything happens and there's no contract stating who bears any form of liability, it might be to your detriment. Now, exportation is what a lot of SMEs are interested in now in Nigeria because of this whole forex volatility and all of that. So everybody's trying to make some form of dollars and all of that. But for exportation as well, you clearly need to register your business, but you must register with the Nigerian Export Promotion Council, because they will have to issue you a certificate. This is sort of like your license to actually export, and it's renewable every 2 years. So there are basic things that you can export, simple as ginger, palm kernel, textile yarns, charcoal, cashew nuts, and all of that. You'll be surprised that people actually make a lot of money from this. Rather, when I was doing my research, I was seeing that a lot of Nigerians are actually into this, even at the small scale. So you don't even have to think of, maybe you are exporting this to one particular company abroad. They're actually individuals that serve as middlemen abroad that, can help you sell these things that we sort of take for granted and overlook. There are actually ways that you can actually earn, foreign exchange as an SME. And you also have to look at the commodities that are banned for export. So things like maize, timber, raw hides and skin. So that's pomo. Then, scrap metals, rubber latex, rubber lumps and artifacts, and then also endangered species. So elephants, lizards, and all of that. But to carry on exports in Nigeria, you must actually be a company. So not just a business, you must be a company, which is either the private limited company, the public limited company, company limited by guarantee, or the unlimited company. You need to open a domiciliary account, because that is what you will use to get your foreign exchange. And of course, you open a DOM account in a bank, so the bank would give you the export proceeds form that you fill. This is also sort of a way that CBN, monitors list of exporters in Nigeria. And once your, goods are in the ports or in the airports or anywhere you want to take them out for transit, they would inspect it, and then they would also give you a clean certificate. And you don't need to register your company abroad, like to the destination country, before you can actually export. All you need to do is actually just find a buyer, and you would have agreed your payment terms, and then you can actually export directly to the buyer. Now, I'm talking about the African Continental Free Trade Area. This is a special, part of the presentation, because it deals with us as Africans and as Nigerians, and how we can key into opportunities even on our continent. Now, the AfCFTA is the largest free trade area in the world, and it's a project of the African Union. The African Union has a goal to actually integrate Africa into a single market by 2063. So that means that Africa would be using the same currency, and even the border restrictions will be very limited. They're even working on an African Union passport, apart from a visa. And the first step to doing this is actually the free trade area. And what does a free trade area mean? A free trade area is a trading zone that allows you to trade with another country at a very low cost. So if I want to import to South Africa, for example, maybe their tariff rate was 40% before. Now, because of the AfCFTA, they probably have to drop it to 5 or 10%. So it means it's easy for me as a Nigerian to export my goods to South Africa and pay low import duties. And this trade area is not just for goods alone, it's to cover services, investments, intellectual property, and competition policy. Trade actually started January this year, although that's speaking theoretically, because most of the countries are still negotiating their tariffs. So for countries like Nigeria, they are saying, okay, before I used to collect 40% import duties from Kenya, but now I have to drop it to 10%. So that's what countries are still working on. But I'm sure that by the end of this year, countries will have submitted it to the African Union, and then trading will now start properly, and then businesses can benefit. The Secretary General of the AfCFTA, makes a lot of promises, saying that the hope that this free trade area will lift millions of people out of poverty. At least 30 million people will be lifted out of poverty, and then it will create jobs, and to create an opportunity for industrialization in Africa that we have all been waiting for. So as an SME, you now have to ask yourself, how can I benefit from this, or what are the opportunities that are available for me now? And the first one is you have access to new markets. So as a Nigerian business, now you can now export your products to other African countries at a very cheap rate. And also there's the issue of foreign direct investment, which is a good benefit for you, because now a lot of foreigners are looking to invest in Africa, and they're not just looking to invest in Africa, they're looking for contact points, like businesses that they can invest in, so that they can, of course, make a lot of money. And it's a good opportunity for you as a business. It means that you can actually scale, because foreigners are now looking on the continent for businesses that are ready, to take their products or services to the next level, to the continental level now. And then it will also help to reduce your input costs, because there are some goods and services that you used to get from the UK and from the US at a high price, but now you can get substitutes in other African countries which will be cheaper for you and more affordable, considering this volatile currency that we have. And now, as an SME, how can you now position for opportunities? The reason why I'm speaking on this is because currently the regulatory frameworks are still being worked on. It means documentations, agencies that you need to come across, they are still being worked on. So while waiting for all of that, you can start positioning yourself for opportunities. And the first point of call will be to prioritize information. It's important that you join associations and be part of events. Just, social media has made it very easy for us. You can join one event that is going on in another African country by the click of a button. You can join associations now online, because these are the point of contact for countries. For example, recently the CBN was actually offering loans to exportation businesses in agriculture, and you can only get that if you are part of the association. The CBN is currently meeting with the MBA association and asking questions on how they can manage the continental level of legal services that will be coming our way now. And so you can only position as a business if you are in those associations to get information and know what is actually going on. Now, the next thing you need to note is that you must produce what Africans need. Unfortunately, in Africa, we produce similar things. For example, Ghana, Cameroon, and Nigeria, we all produce cocoa, for example. So I can't be exporting that to cocoa. But as Nigerians, there are things that are unique to us. So we have to focus on our comparative advantage. An easy example is like the fabric I put in the slide, the Adire. I've been seeing a lot of it now, even in other African countries. So it means that these are things that they like and they want. Even food, for example, in South Africa, because of apartheid, they have sort of diminished their cultural heritage, and it's now more focused on the Western culture, Asian food, Asian cuisine, France, fashion, France food, American, and all of that. So they're actually excited when they get to eat food from other African countries. It's actually really funny. But so these are points of opportunities, for us as SMEs in Nigeria to start thinking of, what those countries are clamoring for from other African countries. How can I get it to them? And even though we have similar commodities in Africa, international is actually very, very low. So things like cocoa are not processed. If you can do it in a semi-processed version and ship, that's actually still fine, because something that they would equally need. And also, it's important to collaborate. As much as you have found a niche area for yourself, you have to find points of contact in other African countries, because governments can release one policy and say, okay, this is what we want to do in Ghana, for example, but on ground, something else is happening, different from what the government is saying. So it's important that you have points of contact in all the countries that you seek to reach, so as to make your business transition smooth. And it's also important to create opportunities. So there have been naysayers that have said that, the AfCFTA is not going to work because of things like payment systems. In Africa, there are different currencies. Only the Francophone countries actually use the CFA franc, right? And there's also the issue of language. There are 3 major languages in Africa: English, French, and Arabic. And most of us are not bilingual countries. In Nigeria, we speak English. French is optional. Arabic is also optional. But these are actually areas of opportunities. Even transport and logistics, they've said, these systems are not currently in place. But the funny thing is that, leaving the Nigerian political issue aside, a lot of African countries are actually looking to fix this problem. In fact, the AfCFTA was not signed by Nigeria until 2 years after, but other African countries had gone ahead, because they're like, we're not waiting for the giant of Africa to wake up. We are going to go ahead. So other African countries are actually looking for solutions in these areas. And so companies like Flutterwave, for example, they've done barter that allows you to convert your currency. So for example, if I want to send money to someone in South Africa, they will debit my Naira account, but the person would receive rand. So they're like the middleman. And there's also opportunities in language transition. So if you're an employee here and you can speak diverse languages, it's good for you, because even banks are now moving to other African countries. We've seen Access Bank acquiring banks in other African countries, and they're taking Nigerian employees with them. So this is actually an area of opportunity for you. And then there's also freelancing. There's currently a website I saw, North-based. So what they do is that they are offering legal services for the diaspora, but for the African continent. So if you're looking for a lawyer in Kenya, you can use the North-based website to trace them. So these are actually opportunity areas. Talents QL, for example, getting talents across Africa, like developers and all of that. So these are areas that you can actually start thinking about, what can I do to create opportunities out of problems. Surprisingly, even in transport and logistics, I've seen plenty startups in that area as well, thinking of continental issues like this Cobalt 360. They are trying to connect businesses with trucks and all of that. So it's not just like we are leaving everything to the government to do. there are opportunities for the private sector as well. And the last thing I want to say is actually think technology. Just flowing from what I've already said, you will notice that there is a trend. Most of it is focused on technology. And as an SME, that is what you should be thinking of right now. That's the new oil that we have. So on whatever you are thinking of for your business, there should also be a technology side. And this does not mean that you should now focus 100% on tech. You can focus 25% on tech and 25% on what is currently making you money, because the future is tech. No matter how long you think it will take, that your particular industry will still be disrupted. So this is the end of my presentation. If you have, questions or inquiries, you can reach me on LinkedIn, and you can also send me an email. Thank you.
Yes. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for this.